Hi everyone, it's Jakey again, and we're back with Empyrean Armor Plus 3, and they actually released it ahead of schedule. This was supposed to be coming out in winter, and I assumed when they said winter, like late winter, not October. So this is just going to be part one. If you're interested in other jobs than these mage jobs, you'll want to probably subscribe and hit the bell and all that to make sure you can see parts two and parts three, which I will have out over the next few days. Also, if you just want to check out a particular job, I'm going to put timestamps in the description so you can jump to whichever job you're interested in. Hopefully, that makes things a bit more convenient for you. Okay, so first we're looking at Black Mage. Now, I feel I was a little unfair to the Black Mage Imperium Plus 2 set. Uh, well, Black Mage is in a bad spot, and this set didn't really do anything for a fully geared Black Mage. I really should have emphasized more. This is a very reasonable nuking set. Like, it's not quite going to beat out a maxed out Agu and EA plus one and all that, but you're not far off. Like, this is a solid nuke set and it has very good magic accuracy, which also makes it good for things like burn. Like, the head is especially good for casting burn because it has elemental magic skill as well. Um, And other than that, the big standouts here is you've got a lot of magic evasion with a refreshed body. Uh, no DT on the body, however, unlike most of the MP jabs, so that's disappointing. You've got the uh, increased duration for the jaw AoE debuffs, which is actually like a really strong effect. And given how much stronger Scholar is getting, might be one of the main roles for Black Mage now. And the feat, no, yeah, I made fun of him because Mana Wall, you're already capping it with just the MP plus one feat and a ambuscade cape, and you're still going to be using ambuscade capes, so this doesn't really get you anywhere. Uh, but this is a much better nuking piece than the MP plus one. So when you're using Mana Wall and these feat, you're no longer sacrificing nearly as much damage. So that was actually a good value from these feat. And they come with a ton of DT on them, so they also help keep you survivable while you're Mana Wall nuking. So this set, while it doesn't fix any of Black Mage's problems, was actually decent. Let's jump over to the plus three. Okay, so here's the plus three. Uh, First thing I'm gonna note here, all the DT pieces just got an extra one DT. So I was kind of wondering, maybe they would add new stats to the DT pieces because it didn't make sense to add like a bunch more DT when they already have so much. But instead they just added very little DT, so that's a little disappointing. Uh, but the nuking stats on these pieces is actually really solid. Here I've thrown up the Agu uh, set so that we can compare a bit. For instance, the body here has three more int than the Agu body, one more magic attack bonus once you consider rank 25. So if you're not rank 25 already, yeah, this comparison starts looking really good for the Empyrean. Uh, and of course, it has 14 more magic damage. Magic damage not the greatest stat, but pretty good. Uh, you do lose the 10 magic burst damage one, but you get the 5 magic burst damage two. Now, of course, for nukes, we've got to look at the EA plus one, which I'll be looking at in a moment. But at least for free nuking, uh, this is better than the Agu body for free nuking. Now, of course, the body slot, that's usually where you go AF body for getting free nukes instead of having to pay MP. So then you have to look at the other slots. A lot of these are a lot closer because like the legs have the same amount of MAB as the Agu, but you do gain magic damage and you do gain int. So for free nuking, these legs are going to be better than the Agu. And yeah, we can run down the line on each of these. The rest of the pieces besides the body and legs do lose some MAB compared to Agu. But you're gaining magic damage and you're gaining int. So we'll have to be running the numbers, figuring out the optimal sets here. For magic burst, though, then we got to look at the EA +1. So then you got the EA +1 here, and you're gaining magic attack bonus across the board, and you're gaining a ton of magic damage across the board, but you're losing out on the magic burst damage and magic burst damage too. So, I'm gonna have to actually sit down and run numbers on this to figure out the new optimal sets. But this is a very competitive nuking set. On top of that, of course, you've got the increased duration for the jaw debuffs. And anytime you increase that duration, it's really good because when you're casting your jaw spells, they don't reset their duration each time you add another stack. Like they'll keep wearing off. So getting that increased duration gives you way more uptime with them all up. So you definitely want to be using these pants for casting your Faraja, etc. Jaw spells to keep that debuff, because that's a 25% damage bonus for that element for everyone attacking the mob, and that includes for people doing weapon skills against the mob. Like it's actually very impactful, very good. The feat, now you don't need the ambuscade cape for mana wall. I mean, I'm probably still using ambuscade capes because they're amazing, so I don't really see that as a meaningful bonus, but sure. I mean, it gives you a little bit more flexibility. Body's up to refresh 4. Magic evasion on the set is amazing. Unfortunately, the hands are still magic crit nonsense. It's a very solid set. It's not going to fix anything for Black Mage, and I still think Black Mage overall is going to be very sad once they see what Scholar got, but, it's some good pieces of gear. And I do like that they've managed to scale things where you're not completely making all old gear irrelevant. You're just kind of going up to that line and making you have to think, like, what's better. Okay, next we have Blue Mage. The +2 set, I saw a ton of hate for. And honestly, I feel like the Blue Mages are holding out on me, because I see everyone complaining about it, and then I turn around, and every Blue Mage I know is using the full set. It's a solid nuking set. It's not like substantially better than what you would use for nuking before, but you get the nice set bonus. You've got high magic accuracy, and it's super defensive. So yeah, it's good. So here's the +3. Again, they buffed all the nuking stats, increased magic evasion, increased the DT slightly. Yeah, this is just going to be another good nuking set for Blue Mage, a little bit better than +2 was. And the other big thing here is the head now has weapon skill damage +12, which is enough. You'll be using this for weapon skills. And the pattern does follow. All the pieces of MP +2 that had 8 weapon skill damage now have +12 at the +3. So that's really good. Pretty much all the weapon skill damage pieces are now going to be used for weapon skill damage. Okay, Bard. Everyone was relatively disappointed with the +2 set because, the songs remained just +1 across the board. The assumption was, well, the +3 will undoubtedly have +2 potency for all the songs, and then it'll be like one of the best sets ever. So let's, not get too upset about this. I guess I should also note, it's a pretty solid magic accuracy set. Okay, here's the +3. And Bards, I'm very sorry. Very, very sorry to tell you. You didn't get any plus song potency increase. So, yeah, this just increased your magic accuracy. Congratulations, you got an extra 1 duration on the body. I mean, it's a good chunk of extra magic accuracy, and you've got some decent DT and magic evasion pieces here, but yeah, you're not getting any stronger. So that's just how it is. I guess you can play some like depressing song now because you're a bard. Okay, Geo. There's not a whole lot here to work with. I mean, we've got the increased into closure duration on the feet, uh, and nice DT and magic evasion pieces, which is nice for Geo. They're often just sitting there with their bubbles in danger, so being more defensive is good. Nice refreshed body with the magic evasion. Unfortunately, does not have DT, but still magic evasion and refresh. Also, a very solid nuking set. Again, for Geo, they are competing with both Agu and EO+1, so it's not going to be like best in slot generally, at least not at the +2 it wasn't. But my Geo is a different character. I don't have Agu maxed out and EO+1 for him, so I've just been using this for nuking on them, and it's just a very solid set. So let's look at the +3. So here's the +3. We've increased the DT regen and full circle on the head, which is really nice. Increased the into closure duration on the feet. And you've got the refresh 4 body with even higher magic evasion. Oh, that's great. In addition, nuking set stats across the board have been increased. And much like Black Mage, this is going to be a very competitive set for your best in slot nuking. And if you're not worried about best in slot nuking, you can just use this set. You'll be fine. And that's what I'm going to be doing for my other character that's a Geo. So, yeah, no, it's a solid set. Nothing groundbreaking, but solid. Okay, now it's time for one of the top sets here, Red Mage. The Red Mage set was already amazing at +1. +2, it's even more insane. I could sit here talking all day about how amazing this +2 set is. So let's just go right into +3 and not worry about it too much. Okay, here's the +3. Where do we start? The feat with the 40 enhancing magic duration and even more enhancing magic skill, which might move up your end spell and temper tiers. And now has 12 weapon skill damage with 50 MAB. It was already best in slot for elemental weapon skills at the +2 rating. Now it's even stronger. And with 12 weapon skill damage and more strength and mind than before. I mean, yeah, you're going to be using this for Savage Blade as well. It's got accuracy attack. Like, yeah, you're amazing weapon skill piece, amazing enhancing magic piece, and it has the Red Mage set bonus, which again improves not only enhancing magic cast on others, but also enfeebling magic duration cast against enemies. And it has more magic accuracy. Now this set has insane levels of magic accuracy. Legs. In addition to the set bonus to the magic accuracy, you get refresh potency, another +1 over the +2 piece. Amazing. Hands, another plus saboteur. More enfeebling magic skill. You are competing with the regal hands, but with the set bonus, you're not losing much duration, and if you need the skill for frazzle and distract, this is a great piece to get your skill. And of course, when you're casting a saboteur, you're using these regardless. So, amazing piece. Body, they increase the enfeebling magic effect. We've got more magic accuracy to go with it. So you're using this for basically all your enfeebles. In addition to that, refresh +4 with higher DT and higher magic evasion. Amazing idle piece. And then moving on to the head. Head, you're mostly just using for the set bonus and higher magic accuracy than before, but you're still using it. And I haven't even covered Red Mage doesn't have Agu. This is now going to be one of your top nuking sets. You are competing against EO+1 for Magic Burst, but I think for non-Magic Burst, you're probably just using the set. Yeah, this set is insane. I'm going to be getting 5 of 5 of this, except I have to hold back, because wait till we get to the next job. Now we have Scholar. Scholar that probably had the most insane of all the sets. And it all starts here with the feat. The feat, we're talking, almost Agu tier in terms of stats. You've got magic burst damage 2 instead of 1 on the Agu feat. You do lose magic attack bonus. You do lose But you're in the neighborhood. You've got decent magic damage. It's great. But you've got a 20% climoform bonus here. I guess apparently from the forums, a lot of people had trouble understanding how to do the climoform bonus. So let me take you through the steps here. Step 1, you have to actually equip the feat. Some people are getting that wrong. Step 2, you got to have the climoform buff up. And step 3, you got to be casting the same element as the weather you have active. And keep in mind, if you've given yourself a weather buff, that overwrites whatever weather's in the area. You don't get both. You just have either your buff, or if you don't have a buff active, whatever the weather is in the area. So you have to match the weather and have climoform active and actually be wearing the feat. And that's where you get the bonus. And it's 20% damage bonus. That's insane. A single piece where you're sacrificing almost nothing in terms of your magic damage stats, and you're getting an extra 20% multiplier for everything. Like that's insane. And it even has elemental magic skills, so you're not losing magic accuracy. These feet are insane. And we haven't even gotten to +3 yet. The rest of the set also. The head, Ebullience bonus. When you're not using your stratagems for skill chains, which, most of the time you are, but you're not always, you'll have extra stratagems when you're nuking, and so you pump them into Ebullience, which is a 20% damage multiplier. Well, this pumps that up to a 38. It almost doubles it. And again, now it actually has nuking stats that are, not quite best in slot, but you're in the neighborhood. The body, amazing idle piece. Like, this set was insane. You got increased perpetuance, legs, insane amounts of magic accuracy, but you don't have amino break. Like, this set was already insane. Now let's check out the +3. They boosted the climoform to 25. Like, what do I even say that? It's insane. Completely insane. And the other thing people forget about the climoform bonus, it works for elemental weapon skills too. You still have to meet the element requirements and have climoform active and all that. But if you do all that, it boosts your weapon skills as well. I was already able to hit cap damage cataclysms with the +2. I mean, obviously, we can't go beyond cap damage, so we are starting to run into some diminishing returns due to the damage cap here. But yeah, I mean, these are insane. And the nuking stats are now very competitive with Agu. Keep in mind, Scholar doesn't get EA +1, so they're basically only competing with Agu set, with the exception of like the Relic Head, it also gets in there sometimes. So let's put that up and see what it looks like. So here's the Agu set we're competing against. The body, again, 1 more MAB, 3 more int, 14 more magic damage. The body is just straight up better outside of Magic Burst. And in Magic Burst, it's going to depend whether you even need, because only Magic Burst damage 1, so you might cap it elsewhere. Keep in mind, the body, again, has the massive minus enmity that bypasses the cap. So you want to be nuking in it if you can, and for free nuking, you're certainly nuking in it. All these pieces are, really close to the Agu or potentially beating the Agu. Like, this is insane. And they all have higher magic accuracy. And that's not even getting to the other things they do. So, like, the body now has 4 refresh, even more DT, and even more magic evasion. So you're definitely idling in this. It's by far your best in slot for idling in the body slot. Yeah. The head's ebullience bonus is now +21. So it's more than doubling the multiplier from ebullience. And meanwhile, the nuking stats are even better than before. It's now, I mean, it's not going to quite beat Agu cap, but it's really darn close. Like, this set is amazing. And then they also increased the regen potency on it. It's got more DT. I was already using it as a nice DT piece. The legs, like, look at all this magic accuracy. Now, you're still losing the amino break plus. So, now not every enfeebled can amino break. Those that can, though, that's a big thing to give up. On the other hand, this is so much magic accuracy. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about, do I actually just sacrifice that amino break bonus because this is so much magic accuracy? Probably don't, but maybe. I have to consider it, and that's saying something. We've increased the perpetuance on the hands again. I mean, I think Scholar has to be the biggest winner of the MP sets. Like, you're talking, you know, without ebullience, you're talking like 25% damage more than you had a few months ago, just thanks to the feat. You're looking at slight damage increases, from other pieces here. And then the head, when you're using ebullience, you're changing a 20% multiplier to a 41. Like, and doing it at a very minimal cost in terms of your other stats. This is just insane. Yeah, Scholar has to be the biggest winner of the Empyrean sets. Now here we have Summoner. Now Summoner might not have quite as good of a set overall, but when you're competing for like the best single piece, the head is right up there. At the +2, it actually finally made it possible to knock the blood pack timers down, but you had to use the 635 skill tier with it, which is very difficult to do, and you have to swap weapons at the moment with master levels to do it. But with the +2 head and that skill tier, you were finally able to knock the blood pack timers down one more second. So the big question is, how is it going to look at the +3? So here's the +3. They boosted the Avatar's Favor effect once more, which means we probably don't need the new skill tier with it. I mean, we'll have to test to make sure, but there's a decent chance we're not going to need that skill tier, which also means we can do it without weapon swapping and without having all the master levels. So that's a really big deal. I mean, as far as summoner gearing goes. In addition to that, you've got increased refresh on it, increased skill, so it's even easier to reach your skill tiers. Amazing piece. I don't think it quite competes with the straight up 25% damage multiplier on those Scholar feet, but it's a really good piece. The rest of the set, you do have a nice TP bonus on the legs, but you don't have any like blood pack bonus or anything to go with it, so it might get used for some blood packs, but I'm not expecting to use it a lot. The feet now have blood pack damage in line with the Apogee feat. However, you do need to be careful there because as long as you're using at least one piece of Apogee, you kind of want to use two for the set bonus. But, it's certainly a piece you can consider. Of course, you can also use it for the Elemental Siphon, and the hands, you get the Mana Seed. And you got some reasonable skill pieces. I don't think any of them are best in slot for skill, but they're at least, decent. It's an okay set. The head is really good, but the rest of the set's okay. Okay, last job of the day, we're talking about White Mage. The +2 set, it was nice. I mean, all these pieces are used for their specific bonuses to different job traits and abilities. The big standout here, of course, is the legs. You use them for all your curing. It gives you your MP back based on the amount you cure. Now, of course, keep in mind, that's only it has to be HP that was missing that was actually cured. The over-curing that goes into cure skin does not give you your MP back. And that's where increasing the amount you're getting back actually is helpful, because it also only gives you back up to the amount of that you spent on the cure. So getting a higher percentage just means it's easier to get free cures even if you're over curing a little bit. So let's check out the +3. So the +3, they did increase the amount of MP back by another %. So that makes it a little bit easier if you're over curing too much. You do get the refresh for body with decent magic evasion, but no DT on the White Mage one. uh, good fast cast headpiece here with a ton of cure potency. So I could see people can potentially using this for some cure sets, especially if you're trying to like maintain DT in your cure sets. Being able to get a ton of your potency in a single slot can be useful, especially since it has decent magic evasion with it. You get the regeneration, divine caress, auspice bonus. That's a subtle blow when you're using the buff. Of course, it pisses off every red mage, but such is life. Yeah, I mean it's a solid set across the board. I do like that they increased the DT and magic evasion even more on the pants, since you're gonna always be wearing these for your cures. Yeah, I mean it's solid. Nothing looks too game breaking here, but it's just solid, useful pieces. Um, Nothing really to write home about, but nothing to complain about either. So yeah, that's White Mage, and that's gonna be it for this video. I will be back for part 2 and part 3. You might want to subscribe if you want to make sure not to miss those. And I think you're supposed to ring the bell and all that too. I'm not really expert on all these things. And so I'll see you next time, hopefully. I think next one I'm planning to look at the damage dealing jobs. I do think overall the Empyrean set was Empyrean plus 3 sets. I've seen a lot of people disappointed by them, and if you're a bard, I totally get that. But otherwise, I mean, they're decent. Uh, I think they did a good job of reaching the balance where it it's competing with best in slot. It might not all be best in slot, but you're at least in that neighborhood for something with most of the pieces. And that's a good place to be, because I don't want, every year or two to have all my equipment just be, oh, it's all out of date. It's not good. It's like, no, this is competing for best in slot, but it's not like ahead by a mile other than like the scholar feat. Um, and there's some unique bonuses for different jobs. Certain pieces are better than others. I think they did a good job of balancing this. And well, unless you're a bard.